At the Academy Awards the other night, one of what I thought was one of the funnier bits of the evening. And remember, this is coming from a guy who used to work in the VFX industry. I am a massive VFX fanboy. I just geek out over the names of John Knoll, and it's just people who do visual effects and make movie magic. I just love them. I geek out over them. But as one of those people, I thought the Cats gag that they did at the Oscars was fun. Some people thought it was in poor taste, and that's fair enough. Robert, you're one of them. You thought it was kind of maybe in poor taste, maybe not the best thing to do. I thought it was really fun and funny, and I like the fact when filmmakers and the Oscars and the movie industry itself doesn't take itself too seriously. That being said, the Visual Effects Society decided to put out a response. Why? I have no idea. But the Visual Effects Society decided to put out a response that was so tone deaf and so hypocritical, it almost defies belief. In response to the Cats joke. It was a joke. Anyway, this is what they wrote in response to the Cats joke, Robert. They wrote the following. Last night, in presenting the Academy Award for Outstanding Visual Effects, the producers chose to make visual effects the punchline and suggested that bad visual effects were to blame for the poor performance of the Cats movie. No, they didn't, by the way. No, they didn't. That was never implied. Anyway, the best visual effects in the world will not compensate for a story badly told. The Visual Effects Society is focused on recognizing, advancing, and honoring visual effects as an art form and ensuring that the men and women working in visual effects are properly valued. On a night that is all about honoring the work of talented artists, it is immensely disappointing that the Academy made visual effects the butt of a joke. Oh, it's cool if we make everybody else the butt of it's cool to make everything else is cool to be butt of the joke. Not us, though. How dare you, sir? How dare you? Anyway, make the visual effects the butt of a joke. It demeaned the global community of expert VFX practitioners, no it didn't, doing outstanding, challenging, and visually stunning work to achieve the filmmaker's vision. Our artists, technicians, and innovators deserve respect, of course they do, for their remarkable contributions to filmed entertainment and should not be presented as the all-too-convenient scapegoat in service for a laugh. Rob, I just want to read the first 3.5 lines again here, okay? Because here we have the Visual Effects Society saying, how dare you make fun? Do you know how hard it is to be? We are artists. We are artists. And they are. And they're magicians and they're wizards. And it's amazing what they do. But we are artists. You shouldn't throw the artists under the bus. I want to read the first 3.5 lines again. Last night, in presenting the Academy Awards for Outstanding Visual Effects, the producers chose to make visual effects the punchline and suggested that bad visual effects, which they never did, suggested that bad visual effects were to blame for the poor performance of the movie Cats. The best visual effects in the world will not compensate for a story badly told. I want to point out a couple of things here. I'm not seeing the VFX Society writing an article saying, how dare you guys make fun of Martin Scorsese at the beginning of the Oscars. You had Chris Rock get out there and you made fun of The Irishman. Having Chris Rock goes, oh, hey, Marty Scorsese, I love the first season of The Irishman. Do you know how many people worked on that to put blood, sweat, and tears into every single minute that went into making that? Making that joke is disrespectful to people who tell stories, telling that joke, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't see the Visual Effects Society writing that letter. Oh, it's because it's cool, Rob. It's cool. We understand jokes. We understand when it's in good fun. We understand when it's meant to just poke fun at ourselves a little bit, not take it too seriously. Oh, making fun of Robert or Martin Scorsese in his movie? Oh, that's funny. That's cool. You made us a part of the joke? How dare you? But I want to point out something, Rob, here that is immensely hypocritical. Immensely hypocritical in this thing. Their whole letter is about saying, how dare you make fun of visual effects artists? How dare you make fun of the artists? These people work hard, and of course they do. These people work hard and are incredibly skilled, incredibly talented. They pour their blood, sweat, and tears in this project. How dare you? And then in the very next breath, they threw the screenwriter and the director under the bus. In the very next breath, after talking about, you shouldn't make the butt of the jokes people who work so hard to make these movies and all this kind of stuff. You shouldn't make them the butt of the joke. You shouldn't do. And what did they do next? The best visual effects in the world will not compensate for a story badly told. They immediately throw the director under the bus. They immediately throw the writers under the bus. They immediately throw the producers under the bus. They threw everybody under the bus. So it's cool for them to do it and not anybody else. It's cool to make fun of everybody else at the Oscars, not cool to make fun of us. It is absolutely not cool to say anything remotely disparaging about the work that an artist does in their art. Oh, by the way, producers, writers, directors of this film did a shit job. They did a shit job. The hypocrisy of this statement. Now, look, Rob, you and I had a bit of a debate yesterday about whether telling those types of jokes during the presentation of the Oscars is entertaining and good fun, or maybe inappropriate to do in that moment. And that's a debate that we can have. That's an easy debate that can be had. But as somebody who counts himself as a Googling, drooling fanboy of visual effects artists and the magic that they do, I mean, listen, guys, if you love the MCU, you better get on your hands and knees and thank every visual effects artist that comes in the room, because just that couldn't exist today. The Star Wars movies as they exist today could not exist today. The DC movies could not exist today the way they exist today. You know, Inception couldn't exist the way it exists today if it wasn't for the work of these magicians, these visual effects artists. But Rob, I thought this response was at best tone deaf, at worst bleedingly hypocritical. And I didn't like the response. Now, granted, that's coming from a guy who I thought the joke was done in good fun and this Hollywood making fun of itself. But so that's my perspective. As somebody who had the other perspective, Rob, that, hey, you know what, who you felt that while presenting an award, that's not the time and place to do it. How did you look at the Visual Effects Society's letter?
Well, I like you, I thought that letter was pretty damn tone deaf. Look, here, let me read something. One of the special effects artists who worked on Cats, Yves McCrae, tweeted this. He said, "Hey guys, I haven't watched all of the Oscars, but I assume these two were really classy and thank me for working 80-hour weeks right up until I was laid off and the studio was closed, right?" And I think, look, you know, Cats is going to go down in history as some kind of special something. And the thing that I objected to, first of all, that letter is it's incredibly tone deaf, because all people that work on movies, I've been on many movie sets in my life, and I've never seen anyone slack off. I've always been saying on my show that one of the most, I guess, inspiring, if you're not bored to tears because you don't know what's going on, but if you're on a movie set, one of the most inspiring things that I can imagine is watching a crew of people, especially on large tentpole properties, busting their asses and making their days and creating the magic over 12 hours. So many people put so much time and sweat equity into movies that you will never know. So I think it's unfair that the visual effects artists go after, you're going to go after a screenwriter and a director. I mean, how do you think a movie got greenlit? Nobody ever greenlights a movie they think is going to fail. Cats is one of the most beloved Broadway shows of all time. I mean, you had a director, an Academy Award-winning director. All the elements were in place. So to even say that, look, sometimes things go horribly awry, John, as they say, you know, even the best battle plans never survive contact with the enemy. And that's true of making movies. And I think it was bad to do that. And, you know, the thing that I objected to, it's one thing to tell jokes about movies. But, you know, when you see Rebel Wilson and James Corden in their cat suits coming out on stage at the Academy Awards, the night of glitz and glamour, I understand. I understand. But it's like, it just seemed, it wasn't so much they're just making fun of Cats. I think because not all the visual effects nominated, you know, they had nothing to do with Cats. And I understand the joke that they were trying to make. But I think for the actual awards that are given out, you're sending up the entire visual effects industry. And I didn't think that was what rubbed me the wrong way. And I think that response should have been a little classier. As I've always said on my own show, you can't fight oppression by trading one person's oppression for another. And it's like, that's what they did. They want to do, like, rather than write something classy and object to what happened, they have to go after somebody else then. So you're going to throw someone else under the bus in defense of your own people? That doesn't work. That's never a good tactic.
And listen, I personally, I thought the joke was made as a way to highlight good visual effects. But that being said, take it with the grain of salt too, that the visual effects industry right now is a little tender.
It's a mess.
For very good reason. They're a little tender and maybe a little trigger happy because like all you have to do is go back a few years ago. And if you don't know much about this situation, go back and read up on the situation that happened with that Ang Lee movie with the damn tiger. What was the name of the picture?
It was Rhythm and Hughes was the effects company.
Was the effects company that, and if go back and read like just how difficult the industry is right now for visual effects. Like that one tweet you sent out, Rob, or that you just read. Is kind of, it encapsulates in one little microcosm kind of what's going on in the visual effects industry as a whole. Yes. People are working themselves near to death, and then companies make an award-winning film and then immediately have to shut their doors and go out of business because it killed them. Listen, the environment right now for visual effects artists, people need to make themselves a little bit more educated on just how rough it is, and I get that. That being said, I don't think a response like this does your profession any favors. I don't think a response like this does anything to correct that situation or garner any more understanding about it. So I don't know. I was disappointed to see the response. I thought they should have laughed it off, left it rolled off their back and moved on. But I mean, they did what they did, understanding, of course, that hey, the visual effects industry is a little bruised right now. I mean, because there is some real inequity going on. When it comes to that industry at the moment, and something's got to be done, and it's got to be fixed. But at any rate, guys, question is, what did you feel about that? Like, how are you feeling about that writing? Maybe you agree with me, maybe disagree with me. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right.